Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 184 of the All Dolphins podcast, a special edition, our Hard Knocks weekly recap, along with other assorted items. Before we get into that, however, you know what, Omar? I have decided, unless the comments tell me otherwise, that it's not appreciated. Instead of doing jersey numbers, since we're very high into the numbers, I'm going to like remember the year corresponding to the season corresponding to the number of the season.
Okay, I like that. I like that.
So now, obviously, since it's 84, we're talking 1984, which was probably the most memorable season the Dolphins have had since they won the Super Bowl in the 70s. Year they got off to an 11-0 start.
That was the last time they were really good, right?
They were great. They went to the Super Bowl that year. That's the last time.
Yeah. I mean, last time they went to the Super Bowl. So that's the last time they were really, really good. You know, the team that we kind of expected this team to be.
Well,
they started getting absolutely depleted by injuries. Not to make that excuse, because it's not.
Except here's the thing: that team set all sorts of offensive records. Dan Marino, 5,084 yards, 48
records that Mike McDaniel told Dan Marino he's coming for.
Correct. Yeah, and they might set a new record for most yards, however, in 17 games instead of 16. And the other difference is, and this is yet to be determined, is the Dolphins in their two playoff games that year won 31-10 and 45-28. So scoring was not a problem in the playoffs. Unlike, for example, the 99 Rams, who
were they playing?
They played the Seattle Seahawks in the first round. They played the Pittsburgh Steelers in the AFC Championship game. And Marino went nuts in the AFC Championship game. I think I want to say 428 yards
against his former team, against the team that he grew up rooting for. Okay,
correct. And then, of course, the dream.
I apologize to all those old school Dolphin fans who don't realize I was too young to even remember that stuff.
Yeah, and
I'm old now, but that just shows you how long ago the Dolphins were good.
And here's the thing, as Mike McDaniel pointed out, Marino throwing for 5,000 yards in 1984. I mean,
would be the equivalent of a quarterback throwing for 6,000 yards today.
Correct. 6,500 is what he said. For
6,500. Okay.
Counting for inflation. And the season that year started at Washington, which, oh, by the way, had been to the previous two Super Bowls representing the NFC, and they spanked him 35-17. Marino had 5 touchdown passes.
I remember a day when you can fill up your car with gas for $16. And I also remember a day when you could buy a house in Miami for about $27,000. Can you remember? I'm sure you can remember much more.
You calling me old?
What'd you fill up your car for gas for $8 back in the day?
Wow. Damn. No, actually, we had the cars where you ran like in the Flintstones.
Okay, the foot pedals. Okay, gotcha.
Exactly.
Horse and buggies?
Sorry?
Horse and buggies?
Pretty much, yeah. Chariots. First round pick, since we're going to be thorough about this. And again, tell us how you feel about this particular segment in the comments. First round pick that year was Jackie Shipp, a linebacker from Oklahoma. And if memory serves, the Dolphins actually traded up to get him. Didn't pan out. Jackie Shipp is now a head coach or coordinator somewhere in college football. And it was an absolutely fabulous season. Ended in the Super Bowl against what is one of the greatest teams of all time, the 84 49ers. And this is where we talk about quarterbacks and records and all that. This wasn't Montana beating Marino in the Super Bowl. That 49ers team had this many weaknesses. 0. They were stacked top to bottom, whereas the Dolphins didn't necessarily have a great running game in their defense. That particular season was okay, not great. They got to the Super Bowl on their offense, and the 49ers were just loaded all over the place. Time to bring it back to 2024. 40 years later. Hard Knocks episode 7 last night.
How many years? 40? Damn.
1984, 2024. Yeah.
Damn, I didn't think about that. Wow. Yeah.
It's a long time ago.
Wow.
Yeah. Overall thoughts on the episode 7 of Hard Knocks, Omar?
Mediocre.
Yeah.
Just like they mailed it in. They wanted to go to their New Year's Eve party. Felt that way. I liked a lot of the stuff in theory. It was everywhere and nowhere. I really like the Lamar Jackson focus on it, and certainly Lamar basically made an MVP candidate pitch in that game, and at the episode reflected it. The Dolphins knew how challenged it was. I liked the video camera that they show because we're all curious. We see it. We asked about it. Tua said he hated it initially. Then he kind of warmed up to it. And it kind of shows us what he sees. And I think maybe now Dolphin fans can understand why his coaches and his teammates have such a high level of respect for Tua, just because of how efficiently he can dissect the field and read the field and execute the offense and get the ball out of his hand, and the decisions that he makes. And, you're not going to surprise Tua generally. Cornerback blitzes do surprise him from time to time, but he picks up on everything quite well. Eye operation, throwing to spots on field as opposed to open receivers, looking off linebackers and things of that nature. That's his.
Didn't look off Roquan Smith. Sorry.
Damn. Why you got to bring stuff up like that?
Because if we're going to be throwing,
does he look off linebackers or not? Does he get caught sometimes? Yes, he does.
Like every quarterback who looks off receivers.
Roquan Smith is top 3 inside linebacker in the NFL right now. Top 2. Who you put above
him? Fred Warner.
I'm not sure I put Fred Warner over him.
Close. And it's correct, and it's close, and you can make an argument for Roquan.
Yeah. By the way, and by the way, I banged the table during that draft for the Dolphins to select Fred Warner because that guy was a cannot miss prospect, and obviously the Dolphins missed. But
quick sidebar: somebody made the point. Somebody smarter than me made a very, very good point. Top teams in the NFL right now, clearly Baltimore, San Francisco. We agreed.
Yes.
What do they have in common that nobody else in the NFL have? They have put a priority on inside linebackers, and there's not a team in the NFL that comes close to those dudes with Fred Warner and Greenlaw in San Francisco, Roquan Smith, Patrick Queen in Baltimore.
I put Tampa, Levante David, and can't remember his name.
White.
Yes. I see where you're coming from. I would need to give it some thought and some research, but I don't think that you make a defense with an inside linebacker, but I certainly hear your argument.
Yeah.
And I think it starts with leadership on the interior, but I'm not going to say you're absolutely correct, but I think the physicality that both of those teams bring is more of the calling card or the signature that they have, as opposed, and maybe the inside linebacker has a lot to do with it, but both of those two teams are the most physical teams in the NFL. And I would argue to you that I would say Trent Williams is more of a, well, you better put some respect on Trent Williams' name.
No. I'm thinking about your San Francisco being more physical than the most physical team. Baltimore. Yeah.
Baltimore. You don't think San Francisco's physical?
Again, their offense is a Shanahan offense, which is more about misdirection, motion.
Oh my God, you're doing this again? Are you really doing this again? Just because you do misdirection and motion and horizontal,
as opposed to pound straight ahead like Baltimore did.
Okay, Baltimore does the same thing. Baltimore doesn't just always consistently pound straight ahead. Okay, all right.
For more often than not. Go ahead. If your preferred method of operation is to go straight ahead, I'm coming at you, stop me. You're by definition a power team. And by the way, this is where I say, obviously everybody uses different aspects of all styles. Okay. But if your preferred MO is straight ahead, that's power. If your preferred MO is misdirection, gets you leaning the wrong way, that's not by definition, that's not power.
That I think there's still some power elements into it. We're not going to go into this again. Let's not do this dance that we do, because ultimately Dolphins played a physical team and got bullied and pimped around and slapped. And so now my argument is watered down that they're not a physical team. But look, Buffalo is a physical team. Now they don't always play straight ahead. Oh, I'm going to pound you. Hell, they're bad.
But nobody uses one method the whole time. This is why if you say they're a finesse team, and all of a sudden you'll see everybody's going to be quick to show you one play that's a power move. Yes, everybody uses all the elements, but if you, again, it's about what is your preferred method. When I go back to Hard Knocks, I was getting dizzy. I like the helmet cam also. I was getting dizzy after a while. It's like, okay, we've seen it. Don't need to see it for 10 minutes straight.
Do not agree with you. I want to see it. I want to see Tua's eyes. I want to see the manipulation. I want to see how quick his decision. I've never seen that before. Okay. That was phenomenal.
But no, I get you. But did you hear what I say? I said I did not need to see it for 10 minutes straight.
I would like to see it for 2 hours.
Ooh, oh, man.
I would like to see it to see. I mean, the funny thing is, it mirrors a lot of what you're seeing now with game simulators and Madden and things of that nature. And I remember Lamar Jackson when I was with I Am Athlete, he had the video game, the first virtual NFL video game, and he came into our facility and shot an ad there. And I, got the opportunity to test out the game and all kinds of stuff. And it was interesting, but it's in the early phases of all that VR. I'm sure your son's quite familiar with it. No,
I'm trying to do just
a little bit. I mean, yeah, it's sad about this generation of kids. And my son falls into that category too. For those who don't know, I have a 22-year-old son. His life on virtual world is way more important than his life in the real world, and that's just a generational thing. I can't really explain it, but then I'm not of this generation, so hey, I don't need fake property in the virtual world and fake clothes in the virtual world. I would rather have property and clothes in the real world. But hey, that's just me. I couldn't get enough of that because it showed me, like, I love the plays. I loved hearing the play calls. Their play calls are a lot more simple than I thought they were, unless they were just dumbing it down for the episode so that they didn't really disclose what some of the real play calls are. But that verbiage and language, I'm like, they talk like that thing goes on forever, and it really doesn't.
Well, if you remember when Tua was asked about a play call,
yes,
years ago, and it was like 75 words. I mean, and then he's like, "Go ahead and repeat it."
Yeah, that was training camp in joint practices in Houston. That was this year.
Is that when he did that? I thought it was last year.
Yeah, that was this year. Mm-hmm. That was this year. Because I was here. I was here covering it.
No, and Omar, don't get me wrong. I liked it too. I am just visually. It was literally making me dizzy after a while. I'm not joking. I'm not saying that like hyperbolically. It was I mean, the camera movement and all that. It was like after a while it was got to be. And the other thing about Lamar and to me, pretty well how much I respect Lamar and all that, but I found myself thinking to myself at one point, is this Hard Knocks in season with the Baltimore Ravens?
No. They did that in the first episode with the Vegas Raiders.
Not nearly as much.
No. They did that. They did that with Max Crosby. Remember? Thank you. Remember, this is not about a documentary about the Dolphins.
I understand.
This is a reality series and documentary about the NFL. And that also means you got to highlight some of the league's better players as well, and the opposition's preparation for some of the league's better players.
I understand that. Again, to me, it's a matter of degrees. To me, it got to a point where they first talked about Lamar and defending Lamar and all that and the cool stuff. And then we got the Vic Fangio flashback, which was awesome. Then they get back to more highlights from Lamar. I was like, okay, we get it. And then we got the Tyreek high school. It was funny when Skylar Thompson's playing. See, that was great when Skylar Thompson's playing Lamar on the scout team and Tyreek's like, you're no Lamar. I'm Lamar. And then
that was interesting. And it's true. Like, exactly how the hell do you replicate Lamar Jackson? And Tyreek did have a point. Hell, maybe Cedric Wilson because Cedric Wilson was a college quarterback. Maybe Cedric Wilson needs to be Lamar for that week.
Except he was wide receiver too.
He was a starting receiver. Yeah, that would have been a little bit complicated. You're correct. You're right. I retract that statement. I I thought the Jason Sanders opening was a little bit womp womp.
That was basically for those Dolphin fans who were upset that we didn't highlight Jason Sanders enough on the previous episode. Here's his flowers.
Here's our makeup. The Jevon Holland stuff. All of a sudden, Jevon Holland is injured, not addressed for a month, and then magically he just comes back, and we go over when he got injured and all of the things that happened. A little bit kind of made me uncomfortable. And I loved the fact that on WQAM, Jevon Holland joins the Hochman and Crowder show, and Hochman on every Tuesday, and Jevon took full ownership, raised his hand. A lot of those defensive breakdowns were on me. I was rusty. I take ownership for it. I'll do better. And
does Zay Flowers play? I mean, he's on the other side of the field. That's not on him.
Maybe he was responsible for a coverage call and got the coverage call wrong. You ever think about that?
I have a hard time buying it, but sure, it's a possibility.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that put all that loss on them. The secondary was boo-boo cheek, butt cheeks bad.
Booty cheeks.
Yeah.
Butt cheeks. Okay.
And we can't put it all on the cornerbacks, even though Eli and Cater were just mediocre, to be polite. Lamar was phenomenal. The linebackers got tore up. I liked when Hard Knocks showed everybody basically consoling Duke, and Duke basically saying, "I'm all right, like I'm good." Duke got attacked. You get attacked sometimes in the NFL, like teams. And this is what people don't realize. You remember the Philip Wheeler years of the Miami Dolphins, where literally every offensive coordinator would be like, I forgot what number is Philip Wheeler, because you'll know. 47?
No, he was in the 50s.
51? It doesn't matter.
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah. They'd be like, Philip Wheeler, number, insert the number here. He's horrible in coverage.
Damn, harsh.
Was he not horrible?
He's subpar.
He's a disaster in coverage. We're going to attack him with our game plan. And, a little bit uncomfortable for Duke because, the Ravens, which are a well-coached team, they came after him. They went at him. They targeted him and got exposed a little bit. But everybody got exposed. Everybody on that defense. The game plan was bad. One thing I did like about Hard Knocks, Vic Fangio cameos, Vic Fangio interview, Vic Fangio in the meeting room. I guess they must be paying attention to our criticism that, Vic Fangio.
The part I liked about Holland's interview with QAM on his weekly appearance is he talked about Hard Knocks, and he talked about that little dinner that they had with the 4 safeties, and how he didn't really like it because it felt like staged, scripted, and all that. And he was absolutely right, because that conversation that they had is like, so Jevon, this is going to be your first game back in a month since you got injured. Yeah, I got injured on Black Friday. Yeah, it must be. It was, that convo was like.
As somebody who has done the biography or lived in the biography reality world space, unfortunately, you do have to stage certain things in order to get the visuals and certain conversations to sew episodes all together. Now, they could have had and used other pieces of the conversation, but hey, I'm going to say to you as a director, hey, I need you to talk about the injury and what the road was like coming back. Hey, Brandon, ask Jevon about the injury and what the process has been like. Maybe you two can have a conversation about coming back from injury and the mental toll that it presented to you. And, all comes down to your acting skills. I'm sorry. This is a generation of reality. These kids are growing up on reality TV. Like, the game, Jevon. Like,
Well, none of those 4 guys, and it was Brandon Jones, Elijah Campbell, Jevon Holland, and Deshaun Elliott. No, if it stick to football, guys, because improv's not your forte, and that's not. I mean, No, the conversation. I mean, it was like, come on, are we going to really? It to me, it was like it was cool to see the setting of the four of them having dinner together.
You know what I wondered when I saw that setting? I was like, who cooked or what did they buy?
Correct.
I think Javon likes cooking. But I'm not cooking dinner for my teammates. Huh?
He makes cookies.
No, remember? I think he likes cooking. I've seen him do a cookie.
But I know he makes cookies. I'm not arguing that he likes cooking.
Okay. I think I will be entering the locker room trying to get an understanding of who provided the food for that meal. Would I want to cook for my teammates? Would I want to cook for a group of guys? I'm thinking to myself, I'm not sure if I would.
Really? If you like cooking?
I do enjoy cooking, but I'm not sure I would. I'm not sure I would.
Why? If you care about this, dude, I love cooking for my wife and my kids because I want to see them enjoying something. And if I cared enough about the guys, absolutely, I would cook for them. Does that make me weird? Does that make me weird?
I don't know. I'm
weirder than I already am.
No, I don't know. Maybe the comments. Would you cook for a group of your friends? Not like group of gathering of friends coming over. Let me cook. Like if I got 4 guys coming over, am I ordering wings or some pizzas, or am I cooking for everybody?
Depends on what the time frame is. If you're coming over, spend a few hours at the crib. Come on over. I'll cook and you guys we'll shoot the breeze.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't mean to me. I love the setting of seeing the 4 guys. The conversation itself was young.
I mean, it's no different than the conversation of them when the pass rushers were discussing Jalen going down and what it's going to take for everybody to step it up, or when the offensive line's talking about defending Max Crosby. I'm sorry, sometimes those have to be planted conversations so that they can be segues, so that they can be used. I commend the guys for agreeing to do it and for gathering and being part of it. This is just a game that we play in this reality world. And I think this, I'm so glad and thankful that the Dolphins did Hard Knocks because it humanizes everybody. Seeing Sieler praying on the field for Bradley Chubb. Mm-hmm. Does it get any more intimate than that? Seeing the team, like after Chubb goes down, and I know it was late in the game, but that we've seen it before because we've covered the NFL for a collective 50 years. When a guy gets injured in a game, like sometimes your team, they're gone. And It doesn't matter what the score is or what's going on in the game. Back in the recesses of their mind, they can't get past it. And sometimes some guys are thinking, could I be next? And
sure.
And those things just hang there in their minds. And so to see them be transparent in that moment, even Duke Riley in the aftermath during the interview where he's like, and I don't even know if he was asked a question, but he's like, I can't stop thinking about Chubb.
Correct. He was very emotional.
Very emotional. And you could see the whole team was very emotional. And while I thought the episode was mediocre, I loved certain aspects of it that they showed that brought it all together. And that was one of the aspects and elements of it. And seeing Chubb walking to the bus and seeing Howard walking to the bus, it showed the turmoil and then seeing Tyreek basically saying we got our ass kicked at the end of it. And it's true. I mean, but as I wrote in an alldolphins.com column, which you can see by checking out alldolphins.com for free, no paywall, no subscription, no $20 a month charge to read content for the team that you love, alldolphins.com. Me and Alan, these 2 guys here. What they were, nobody was beating Baltimore Sunday. Nobody. You name whatever team you want. The Dolphins ran into it was like fighting Mike Tyson in his prime. Like, I don't care what you were doing. You were getting KO'd that game, no matter how good you were. So everybody who sits here and thinks that, oh, this Dolphins team is a fraud. They're fraudulent. They're pretenders. Look at how they perform versus the good teams in the NFL. Name me a team that would have competed with the Baltimore Ravens that showed up on Sunday. Name me. Because you can't even say it was the 49ers because that Baltimore stomped a mud hole on them the week before on the road. Baltimore is just a team that is peaking at the right time. And the Dolphins hope that they were that team, but clearly they're not. And now they've got a lot of injuries that they must overcome, mask, address, compensate for, game plan around. Watching Jalen Waddle limp throughout that episode and continue. He's not in the boot, which is, I think, a step in the right direction. But would I prefer him be in the boot if he's going to be limping around like that? Yes, I would. Seeing Raheem confess like, yeah. And we all know how tough Raheem is. We all know how much of a warrior that he is, where if he's held out of Wednesday's practice, he wants to fight the coach. Like, so for him to acknowledge and admit and say, I'm trying, but I can't. That is so progress. You know, I hope you caught this, Poupard.
What that?
I hope you caught this.
What did I catch?
Devon Achane in a boot all week last week.
No, I saw your tweet and then I didn't like pick up on it. I did pick up Jerome Baker with a sleeve on his left leg.
Yes.
Sitting in the auditorium. I did not pick up Achane. My bad.
And that was deep in the week. That was like, I think it was Thursday.
Yeah, but then he played and he played very well. So
he played very well. I mean, and we know turf toe is an injury that's not going away. Like turf toe is something that he's got to shut it down for like a good month for that to go away. But for you to be productive as much as you were, on a turf toe injury, practicing, I believe he practiced one time this week. You'll correct me.
Oh, I have my list right here.
Yeah.
Let me.
That is quite impressive to see. So now we wrote and addressed it a little bit. Dalvin Cook is out there on the streets. It's Wednesday. He's agreed to basically remove his guaranteed money. So whatever team to seek his release, and let me explain why he removed his guaranteed money. Because now that he's got his release and can sign with whoever he wants, and he wanted his release, he wanted to be traded, he wanted to join a new team. He wants to redeem himself at the end of the season. He basically said, I don't need this $400,000 for the opportunity of joining another team. And I don't think anybody is going to pick him up in terms of claiming the contract. Because as I wrote, I believe he's owed $400,000 for this game. I ain't paying $400,000 for one game.
Right.
What I do think is going to happen is that he's going to not get claimed, and then some team is going to try to sign him for the minimum. What team it's going to be, who knows? I think the Baltimore Ravens could certainly use a back. Now, what kind of caliber back he is, we have no idea.
Here's the thing: he wasn't good with the Jets, and the times I saw him play, he didn't look good at all. But he was running behind an absolutely atrocious offensive line. And here's the thing:
with an absolutely atrocious quarterback who nobody is playing the pass. So I have no idea. Now, am I saying that the Dolphins should sign him? No, because I think the Dolphins have way more pressing issues in regards to cornerback.
But here's the thing: they don't have to sign him to the active roster. They can sign him to the practice squad, and if they need a roster for a game, you elevate him. And Cook may not be in a position where he can be very picky. Here's the other thing too: he was not on the transaction list of Tuesday, which means he has not officially been put on waivers. And if that means that happens Wednesday, and the claiming period ends Thursday at 4 p.m., which means if he goes the free agent route, you can't sign him until 4 p.m. Thursday, which basically means good luck getting him in and prepping him to play Sunday. So this
might be just for the playoffs, because I hear exactly what you're saying, and I'm like, why would you not have him on the transactions for Tuesday? Like the news came out, it was already there, 4 p.m. You know, was a contract restructuring not signed, sealed, and delivered? Like what's going on there? But ultimately, do the Dolphins have needed tailback? It really depends on what's going on. If Achane's turf toe got worse, not better,
correct.
Or Raheem, this it doesn't seem like it's a 1 week thing, and we'll know more when we go out to practice today.
No, and the other thing too is, as it's right now, I'm not talking about career. Right now, is Dalvin Cook really an upgrade over Jeff Wilson Jr. the way he ran the last 2 weeks? I don't see it. But to me, there's no harm whatsoever in signing him to the practice squad. If there's a need because of injuries, you just elevate him. And again, the practice squad rules basically in the playoffs, you can elevate 2 guys, and there are no more maximum in terms of each player, how often you can elevate them. So if Cook is willing to sign for minimum money on the practice squad or close to it, what's the harm?
No doubt about it. And you will clearly have a void on the roster. This week you have the opportunity to bring back
Jerome Baker.
Yes, bring back Jerome Baker. He doesn't need to be added to your 53-man roster. He's just going to re-enter the practice mix, and the Dolphins are going to gauge where he is. And then obviously Melvin Ingram is Melvin Ingram. You can elevate him from the practice squad for 1 more season, but you have a roster spot now with Bradley Chubb going on IR. He's going on IR. It's going to give you 1 vacant roster spot. And at this point, I'm pretty sure, as Alan Poupard has written in alldolphins.com, Melvin Ingram is going to be the starter, replacing Bradley Chubb. And as we said in Behind Enemy Lines, when we interviewed Chris Brown, and you definitely should check it out. Always good Behind Enemy Lines. They are timeless. They get you prepared for the opponent. Melvin Ingram has had a good career against the Bills left tackle, Dion Dawkins. Mm-hmm. He is basically owned Dion Dawkins throughout his career. So that's going to be pretty much something that you look forward to. And then we also will talk to Emmanuel Ogbah, who's had a very difficult season, very uncomfortable season, but now is put in a position where he can play more of a prominent role again. And we will see how he responds to that. But we will be covering all of that. Again, I encourage you to check out Behind Enemy Lines. It's always good. It's timeless. We interviewed Chris Brown, who does Bills. What does he do again?
One Bills Live show every day from 1 to 3, and as well as Bills Behind the Numbers podcast.
Yes. So that's something that you should look forward to, or at least check out. We will be here, practice, giving you what we give you every single week. And so you will have another episode today. So look forward to that later. What did you say?
How about that?
You doing your bad. She's selling her home for like $6.4 million.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Interesting life we have here. See, all it takes is being social media viral and showing your stuff on OnlyFans. All right, folks.
Nobody wants to see my stuff.
Actually, you know what? You might categorize as something that is now known as a Santa or something like that. Women are looking for Santas. Yeah, the gray beard.
Oh, really? Okay.
You were like a category of men that women are looking for now, Mr. Alan Poupard. So be mindful of that. It's got some term to it. Put it in the comments. It's something related to Santa. I heard it. I saw it the other day, and I was just like, this is interesting.
That's all great, but I'm perfectly happy with my current status.
That's good for you. Excellent job. Right thing to say. All right. We will see you later today. Thanks for watching alldolphins.com. Like, tweet, share, subscribe, comment in the sections because we're in there, and we'll see you later today.